A unique idea brings together river rafting and art.
Well, I'm always looking for a new adventure, and I love watercolors.
Today on Exploring Idaho, a group of watercolor students rafts down the longest stretch of free-flowing river in the continental U.S.
There's never a lack of subject matter.
Surrounded by inspiration and coached by a professional artist, the students capture history, scenery, and wildlife on the Salmon, a River of Color.
It's a river trip with a twist. Guests learn from a professional instructor how to capture colorful surroundings with brushes and paints. Join us for a watercolor rafting trip down Idaho's mighty Salmon River. Hello and welcome to Exploring Idaho. I'm Dee Sarton. Today we embark on a unique journey, one that proves unusual even to our well-traveled Exploring Idaho crew. It's a raft trip down the main Salmon River with the added attraction of a professional watercolor session. Exploring Idaho's Jennifer Eisenhart joins us now with the story.
Well, Dee, have you ever wanted to find that artist hiding inside of you?
It is hiding so well, it would probably be a very difficult task.
Well, if you do want to try and find the artist inside of you, this is a great way to do it. First, take away all the distractions of home, the kids, the phone, your work, everything that goes along with our busy city lives. And then place yourself in the middle of a wild and scenic river canyon. It takes a few days to slow down, but once you do relax, artistic expression begins flowing like the current of the river itself. The rushing water of the Salmon River calls to rafters from around the world. And no wonder, its awe-inspiring power earned a nickname that has become more of a subtitle, the River of No Return. It was dubbed by early settlers because supply boats could run down the river, but the powerful waters erased any thoughts of an upstream return. On shore, you'll find old-growth pine forests, still standing tall. Herds of wild bighorn sheep seem curious but not afraid of the occasional guest below, and Earth's delicate details wait quietly to be discovered. This is the heart of Idaho, a place where the West remains wild.
There are so many things to paint. It has everything. It's just wonderful. I mean, it has the riparian areas along the river and the green vegetation. It has wonderful rock formations and sand and water and trees. I mean, there's just no end to inspiration and old historical sites. You could do separate trips for each one of those different things and just paint those.
In the eyes of watercolor instructor Erica Craig, the Salmon River Canyon is the perfect classroom.
There's never a lack of subject matter.
It's here, surrounded by texture, color, and contrast, that Erica plans to teach 4 students, including myself, the basics of the art of watercolor.
The river and the workshop, I thought it would just be perfect together because most workshops are taught in a classroom or in one spot, and oftentimes they are from photos and things that are sketches people have brought in, and so you're not actually looking at what you're painting. It's just a different experience.
No last minute mind changes.
The first day of our journey begins near the North Fork of the Salmon River. Our guide is Bill Burnt of Agapaw River Company. With 30 years of experience rafting on the Salmon, Bill knows this river like an old friend.
This is the largest wilderness area in the lower 48 states, and there are not very many places where there is the opportunity to do a trip of this duration, to be in an area that's as untouched as this is.
It will take 6 days for our group of 3 guides and 8 passengers to raft and paint the remote stretch of river.
It's just going to be a thrill to go through the primitive area, just through the middle of the state, a place we've seen on the map and never been to.
Oh, learning to paint.
Big thing?
Yes, I'm coming for the painting and the scenery.
For the painters, there is no shortage of subjects.
The canyon here is 4,000 to 5,000 feet throughout the whole canyon. We've got the north slope exposure, which is more heavily timbered, and the south slope that's a little drier, so you've got some contrast as you go along.
I really appreciate the power of this river. Just the cuts that it's made.
The main salmon is the longest free-flowing river in the world. Its canyon divides a wilderness that makes one of the largest protected areas in the United States. Taken at once, it's a setting that inspires creativity in even the fledgling artist. Around a river bend, we find our first exercise. It's a short hike up a trail to an outcrop of jagged rocks, where we discover a panel of Indian pictographs.
Nobody seems to know just what these things mean. There's been a fair amount of investigation, and there are some papers in the book box about this sort of thing, but nobody really has an explanation of it.
Some say the men on horseback represent battles won. Others say the rows of dots counted successful hunts. And still others say the pictographs are random works of art. Whatever they mean, the ancient paintings make interesting subjects for our modern brushes.
Pick out a portion of the panel or the whole panel if you want, or just a part of the panel that appeals to you.
Erica's first lesson is that a good painting is a well-planned painting. So we begin with pencils and paper.
Now, when you're doing your sketch, you might do things fairly detailed all throughout.
The sketch is basically a blueprint. Each artist plans which pictographs to include, how each rock will take shape, and what angle the light will shine.
I think this is about the only way to go as far as learning something new.
Carol Lamette from Boise is flexing artistic muscles she never knew she possessed.
It's so hard just to break life and just jump into something that you've never done before. In this way, no phones, no work pressure, no telephones.
Carol's husband Daniel is enjoying his own kind of relaxation. On the river, the day is pushing toward evening, so our crew pushes toward camp.
It's such a change of pace from our lives that are so demanding, so driven by the clock. And to just sit back and let your surroundings seep into you instead of thinking all the time, what are we doing next? What's going to happen? Very relaxing.
Jim and Terry Fox live in New Mexico now, but they've never forgotten the wild and untouched places in their home state of Idaho.
I think the river is kind of sort of soothes your soul anyway. You know, it's just kind of soothing, just the sound of the river. And then to lose track of all those things that are back home that are too busy and too stressful are really, really good.
Are we making progress?
While the campers set up their tents,
But now my brush is getting drier.
the painters pull out their palettes.
You each have your individualized sketch of your interpretation of those Indian pictographs. And so your next step is to figure out, okay, I've got this drawing, now how am I going to turn that into a good painting?
And here is where the real work begins. It takes a series of lessons and several days to work through the pictograph paintings. All the while, Erica hops from artist to artist with a suggestion here
You just give a little bit of life to the foreground.
and a brushstroke there.
You can draw this pigment up out.
She encourages us and guides us.
See this kind of shadow area? I think that needs like a ridge along here, not real wide.
Now remember, rocks are angular. So even though there are curves to rocks, you're creating symbols that are going to tell the viewer rock. Yeah, you decide it's going to be this way or this way.
I think I'm going to come back to my original.
Okay,
I think I'll do it like this.
so it's this way.
Slowly, the paintings take shape, and except for the occasional interruption from Mother Nature,
When your
Things
paper
are
just
drying
keeps,
up.
woo, your paper dries.
the painters managed to complete a first work of Salmon River art.
There. And
Carol Original.
the Carol Original. There you go.
That's what this all, to me, is all about. You just continue to build on your experience. And one day, it's like doing photography. One day, after doing 500 pictures, you come out with one that's really like. Somebody might even say, wow.
Morning dawns another sunny day on the Salmon, but it will be 2 hours before the rays reach over the canyon rim and bathe the river in 80-degree heat.
Oh, it's going to be another hot day. I think it's going to be beautiful.
By now, the drill of packing and unpacking is routine, and teamwork seems to be the best way to get the job done.
Always seemed like a two-person job. They stuffed the tent and sleeping bags.
Towering ponderosa pines surround our camp. At the tables, our group of artists has become a constant in the ever-changing scenery.
We found a feather, Chris did, while we were floating along, and thought that it would be neat to maybe do a little vignette with, I don't know, like sand in the background, a feather on the sand, and do a feather painting next. This feather has a little bit of iridescence, which is kind of neat. Iridescence is fun to paint.
The feather fell from a turkey vulture, a large dark bird common in the canyon. We will paint a vignette, a style of painting where a dark center of interest, in this case the feather, stands against a background that fades at the edges. For us, a fading background of sand.
Just mix a little bit and get kind of a tan, and maybe even mix them on here. Remember when I was telling you, and don't use that brush, use your big fat brush.
For the water?
Yeah, use this brush.
Erica's eye is just wonderful. Of course, experience and long time practice play into this, but that naturalist way of looking at everything that we have done, it just makes the paintings come alive.
Okay, now put in a little bit something more interesting.
I like her technique, and it's lively. It sort of picks up that feeling you have when you're out in the woods and you see something. It's just like, oh, look at that! Wow! And that's sort of how you come out feeling when you look at one of her paintings, I think.
Erica's background as a wildlife biologist adds tremendously to her talent in painting the natural world. Her patience as a teacher helps her students grasp these complicated techniques.
It's been just wonderful working with her. She's enthusiastic and positive and very encouraging.
Well, look at them, what wonderful jobs they did. Even frame yours. I like that. I think that's beautiful. A+. I mean, I'm a wildlife artist. You asked for wildlife, here it is.
And tomorrow maybe we'll switch to botany?
Yes. Hopefully, if we find some wildflowers.
The history of the area has been a major interest for me. The way these old boys could come into an area and get to be part of it.
Halfway through our trip now, we spend an afternoon away from the river and hike up to a meadow that is lost in time.
It's always interesting to me to have places like these little bars where somebody could come in and not be just a visitor, to be a part of things, to be a participant, scratch a little bit of gold and raise a few vegetables and a little fruit and put up a little beat and just be here, just make it happen and be part of the area, and, instead of just somebody passing through with their hands in their pockets.
Homesteader Jim Moore was one of those participants. Moore set up a place on an old mining claim back in the late 1800s. Those were the gold rush years in these parts, and every day dozens of gold prospectors would stop here to buy supplies.
Is this an old stove thing? You wouldn't fry pancakes on that, would you?
Pieces of Moore's life are strewn about, rusted and worn. To handle them is to wonder how he scratched out a living with just a roof over his head and a few metal tools.
He obviously had a plan in mind when he came here, and had some kind of dream that this is obviously something he poured his life and soul into. It's hard, perhaps, to understand and perceive what that dream might have been at this point in time, but obviously he dedicated himself.
Jim Moore lived here until his death in 1942. A small headstone marks his grave where he quietly keeps watch over this little piece of paradise. Back on the river, the scenery is changing, as is our view of the world.
It makes you look a little closer at things, like you see the colors of the rocks and the shapes and the textures and things. So I think as we're going down the river, I'm looking at it from that perspective a little bit more. It isn't going to be burnt sienna, raw sienna, sap green, cadmium red.
Dense green forests give way to barren, rocky hillsides. Then, in another one of Mother Nature's impressive tricks, cool, clear water is transformed into a bubbling natural hot spring.
How's the water?
Oh, it's so relaxing, we may never climb down again.
They had to stay.
After a hard day on the river, this is wonderful.
Named bathtub hot springs for the man-made rock enclosure, the water is a soothing 105 degrees.
Here in Idaho, the concept of hot springs is not so foreign, but for people from other parts of the area where those things just don't exist, yeah, that's quite a deal.
This is fantastic. Fantastic scenery.
I mean, to have your own bathtub here in the middle of the wilderness. Wonderful.
Last day, hate to see it end. It's been great.
It's been nearly 5 days, and our minds flicker with thoughts of family, home, and the long hot showers that wait for us. But right here, right now, all around us, the Salmon River Canyon demands our attention.
When you're on something like this, you feel much closer to nature, and so much of what we do separates us from nature. And so not only do you begin to feel not as significant, but more insignificant in the total big scheme of things, but you also feel more part of the whole scheme of things too.
It just gives you a feeling of belonging to the earth in a way that you don't get in any other way. And you start looking at things a little bit differently, and you start seeing colors in rocks or trees or shadows that maybe you didn't see before. You weren't really thinking in that mode.
After all the hours focused on the detailed work of painting, the vastness of the canyon seems even more grand. And in a last show of powerful force, the river tosses our boats like toys on a series of rippling rapids.
I love the water. I love to be on the river. Really enjoy bouncing through the rapids and getting the rush of water into your face. And
I'm always impressed at the bigness of this river. And then you look back and you see the little tiny boat and the big cliffs and the black rocks and the sparse slopes of trees. So I think the landscape really impresses me, but also just sort of the microclimates and the little places that you look.
Tomorrow we will leave this place of unbridled beauty. Tonight, we thank the stars we were able to see it. In 6 days on the Salmon River, 4 watercolor students experienced an art class they'll never forget. These paintings are the result, all by beginners, all inspired by real scenes along the Salmon River. Take a close look. These may just go to show that there is an artist hiding in all of us, but to find him or her sometimes takes a little push. Something extraordinary, something like the salmon, a river of color.
Jen, I am really impressed. You all were beginners?
Yeah, all beginners. And I think the biggest thing that really helped us was, well, for one, having the instructor with us the whole time. And then the other thing was just being so focused, being on the river and doing it every day, and then constantly having the surroundings to look at and refer to and paint.
No distractions and so much inspiration.
Yeah, it was great.
Well, Jen, thank you very much. It was fun going along with you, and I'm sure you'd like more information. So we have a phone number for you to call. It's the Exploring Idaho Field Notes. All you have to do is dial 1-800-443-2461. Ask for show number 148, and you'll get all the information you need on how to book your own watercolor river trip. Besides her work as an instructor, Erica Craig has developed quite a following in the art world for her intricate watercolors of wildlife. We're going to close today's show with close-ups of her work. Thanks so much for watching Exploring Idaho. We'll see you again next time.